Well, hello and welcome to our podcast. Dirk Epperson, Chief Operating Officer of Virtual Project Manager. So glad you could join us. We're really interested to learn about the online platform, Virtual Project Manager, what you're doing for cities, for jurisdictions, and how it helps public servants provide better public services and better manage these complex public projects. So before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your background. How did you get here? And what are your plans for Virtual Project Manager?
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me today, Sharyar. It's been a pleasure always to see you and to be around you. I know that we've known each other for quite some time now, and it's great to be on your show today. My name's Dirk Epperson, and just my background, I've been in public servants, public servitude, or however you work for public agencies in one form or another over the last 20 years, but mostly as an engineer in public works. I started my career in the city of San Diego and moved on through different agencies throughout San Diego County, even the Port of San Diego, and then most previously, the City of El Cajon in East County. I've been a director of public works, a manager over design and construction, and various other engineering facilities. And just it's been a pleasure to really work and to serve the public in that capacity. I've really enjoyed it, and I love making a difference for the public and trying to save as much taxpayer dollars as I can while doing it. It's really been kind of one of my goals. So last year, and to kind of back up a little bit before I get into that, for the last 15 years, I've actually been a customer and a user of the Virtual Project Manager software. And so it's been great to be able to use the software for the benefit of what I was doing and trying to accomplish in managing and constructing and designing capital improvement programs. So now, last year, the owner called me up, the CEO, Lex Zuber, and he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, let's make something happen here. We want to expand, we want to grow." And so he brought me on board. I'm happy to do it because I know the benefits of this software. And it's a cloud-based project management software that allows public agencies to manage, project manage, from planning, design, all the way through construction, all CIP projects. So it's a huge benefit, and quite frankly, there's not a lot out there in this market that you can use to do this. That's one, cloud-based; two, unlimited users, unlimited projects, and unlimited storage; and three, designed specifically for public agencies. We are a low fixed price, and it's just easy to budget. It's easy to use. With most agencies that we bring on board, we can implement within one day. Talk about easy, right?
Right.
It's just fantastic. So we've really enjoyed being able to expand this program and this software. And since I came on board, my goal was threefold. One is to look at how we market ourselves so that more people know about us. Talk about sales and what's the best way to sell this product and to expand its footprint across the nation. And three, to really get into what makes a difference for our end users, the customers, the public agencies who use this. So product development. How can we develop the product in a direction that really is meaningful to our customers? And so that's what I focused on the last 11 months.
Right.
And we have had amazing success doing this. We've come out with several new products, several new releases. I'm going to share some of that with you today, and just very, very excited to be able to share this. So thanks for having me on.
Sure. So, so when you say CIP, capital improvement projects, it sounds like a simple acronym, but it's a very complex process from budgeting and design. So take us through how many different departments touch a CIP project, and how Virtual Project Manager makes it all kind of simpler for public servants to manage.
Well, if you think about it, usually it's your public works or engineering department's responsibility to manage all these projects. So if you go, they're kind of the hub. And there are lots of different departments, lots of different areas within a public agency, a city, a county, a port, a water district, a sewer district. Any of these types of public agencies or municipalities really have a need to maintain their infrastructure. That's what they do. That's one of their primary goals. To provide services like Parks and Rec, to provide police and fire services and all these other things. But what do people use day in and day out? They drive on roads, they walk on sidewalks, they play in the grass at the parks, they flush their toilets, they turn on their faucets, they drive up to a traffic signal. All of these things need to be constructed, maintained, and quite frankly, it's a huge job. So maybe there's a different department or a different agency or a citizen request that comes in. And the citizen request can say, hey, we need a sidewalk on our street. We have lots of kids walking to school in front of our house, and we need that to happen. So a seed is planted. We need a sidewalk. Okay, that's new infrastructure. That's a new piece of construction that needs to happen. Well, it needs to be analyzed. Okay, where do you put that curb so that you can build a sidewalk behind it? How wide does the road need to be? Is there need to be a parking lane or no parking lane, a bike lane or no bike lane? How wide does the sidewalk need to be? What obstacles are there? Maybe there's, power poles from the utility company in the way that needs to be coordinated. Maybe there's new storm drains that need to be put into the ground because now you're adding a curb and gutter where there didn't used to be. Where do we end up putting driveways? All these things need to be looked at. And so the project seed is planted. Somebody preliminary looks at that and says, okay, what are some of the menu items that need to be included with this sidewalk project? It gets put into a preliminary budget number. So they come up with a scope, a preliminary schedule, and a preliminary budget. That goes through, and then it's planned, okay, which year are we going to do that? And then, so the engineering department or the public works department will take that and start to run it through kind of this process. So there's the planning process. Our software allows you to put that into it. It's all cloud-based, so you can have any number of collaborators. It can be from any department. And in fact, it's work from home friendly because it's all internet-based. So there's no software to install. Any device, cell phone, tablet, iPad, laptop, desktop, any computer with an internet connection or any device, frankly, with an internet connection can access our software. And so during that planning stage, you can put the project into it. You've got it in there. It's looking good. It's kind of starting to grow up. That seed is starting to grow. Okay. And now you take it, and once you get that approved through city council, you've got budgeting. Now it goes into design. Right. You get the design done. You've got it engineered. And then it goes through and it gets out to bid. And then a contractor is selected, and now it goes into construction. And so the software will take it through. We have tools in the design phase for consultants, if it's a consultant who's designing it for the city or public agency, or if you've got if you've got a team in-house that can design it, civil designers, CAD guys or gals, they can go ahead and do that, and you can put the drawing, the PDF version, into the system, send it out to all the departments who are affected. Maybe it's got to go to police and fire to look at. Maybe it's got to go to park and recs. Maybe it's got to go to different departments, planning or whatever other department or stakeholders that need to look at it. Our software allows you to distribute that document. All of the comments and suggestions to that design are then captured in our software, and then everybody can see how those comments have been addressed. Wow. And then so now you've got a plan with everybody's input, whoever you've wanted to put input on it. And then when it goes out to bid, our software, you can upload the bid schedule, you can put in, you can track the daily logs, like who's been working on the job site, how is your contractor doing, taking photos. You can upload all your photos, documents, anything to back up this job. It can handle payments right on it, change orders, submittals, transmittals, document storage. All of that is all in one place. And again, you can give access to your contractor or to your consultant or your inspector, whoever needs to have access to it, because it's unlimited users for the same price.
Right. So it's internal facing, to the public agency and its contractors to manage. But it sounds like it's not limited to obviously any particular user or department. Any department that needs access to that information can plug in with unlimited users. And that's always a problem in government life. Silos and IT fiefdoms that cannot be crossed, platforms that can only serve one department. But this is really open in that way that any department can use it if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been in this game a long time and been in the public sector a really long time, and managing these projects. This was my bread and butter, right? And the one thing that really, really was disturbing to me is project management software companies. They would come to me and they'd say, "Hey, use our product. We're the best out there."
Right.
And I'd say, "Sweet. How much is it?" And they'd say, "Well, how many users, or how many users are going to have it?" I don't know. I mean, today it could be 10, tomorrow it could be 100. It just depends on how many departments start really liking your software. And so there's no scalability there unless you have to rebudget every 2 months just because everything's going crazy. Or they say, "Okay, what's the valuation of all your projects?" Right? Like how much you running through our system, and we'll charge you a percentage of that to use our system. It's like, I don't know yet. City council hasn't approved the budget yet. How am I supposed to know how much to run through it if I don't have an approved budget? So one thing that I really love about this is that it's scalable and the price never changes. We've never raised our price on any of our public agencies, and we've been in business 21 years.
Wow.
And so you sign up, all upgrades, all new features are always included at no additional cost. You get the unlimited users. So you don't have to worry about who gets access and who doesn't. Oh, we've only got 10 licenses. We can only allow you 10 to use it, but you other 58 people over here, you're not that important to the process. So we'll work around you, or maybe you can, do something else. That's not the name of the game. You can count on how much it's going to be, and it's a low price. We're $15,000 a year. I mean, you can't beat that. And if you need additional admin staff or whatever, I mean, this really helps. You couldn't even hire an entry-level admin person to come in and do what our software does for $15,000.
It sounds like that's administrative paperclips in most agencies. So it shouldn't require a council action or a board action. There might be discretionary funds that some departments can use. I mean, you would have that much subscription, $1,200 a month to pay for newspaper subscriptions to a public agency or very minor office equipment. So typically sounds like agencies can reach you from a budgetary standpoint without too much heartache, because some of the other online platforms that are available to public agencies are sometimes in the millions, millions of dollars. And they're exactly constrained by those parameters you just set out. How many users? What's your budget? So it sounds like your business model is very simple, and get in the door, provide the max service you can, and just keep at it until the relationship continues to benefit from that. Can you take us through the actual platform? Show us what it looks like and how easily, hopefully, it is for people to manage it. 'Cause I've seen it, and it's surprisingly simple. So I'm shocked at how user-friendly it is. I didn't need a class to, spend 6 months learning how to use this platform.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And, like you said, it is simple. It is something that is so easy to use and simple that so many people just kind of get it, right? And our average, 75 to 80% of all of our customers, they're up and running in a day.
Wow.
We do an extensive training we have kind of your field staff that gets trained. We do an hour and a half training with them. We can do that in the morning, and then late morning we do your office staff, maybe your engineers, your project managers. We get your in the office staff trained, about another hour and a half there, and then the afternoon we can get your admin staff and your executive leaders and all those people trained, and in the afternoon. So the next day, guess what? They're walking out the door and they're using this. They're doing field inspections. They're entering in their projects. They're getting things done. A lot of the construction features that we have are payment, like some of the highlights are, we handle payments. So contractors can log in and do some of those things. We have daily logs, submittals, RFIs, change orders, punch list, corrective action items. And we have a report, an easy VPM report, we call it. And you can process public records requests.
Wow.
For a lot of agencies,
yeah, that's big.
This takes a lot of time to go and gather all the data. You go in and it takes about maybe 30 seconds to run a report in VPM report and get the date range and the items that you need for that project.
Right.
I'll jump in and show you a little bit of the software, and I'll pull you in here to see exactly what it looks like. So if you log in, you're immediately brought to the choose a project screen, and your choose a project screen shows you several different projects. They're categorized into different categories. That's completely customizable by the agency. So you've got, different categories that you can put your projects in for organizational purposes and also for reporting purposes. You kind of saw splashed up on the screen when I switched over our dashboard, and we've got a dashboard that helps to track all of these different projects. This is the City of San Jose. They're a customer of ours, but I like showing real life data. Right. This is stuff that's actually happening. This is a CIP project, a Safe Routes to School project. And when you come in to the project, you kind of see, overall what's happening. You get a project summary right away. You can open up project images that puts them all into thumbnails. What's really helpful is these project images. We get a lot of people who are trying to share images of how things are going on social media. And they might have a social media person in their admin office or in the city manager's office. You can give access to that person. They can log in and pick whatever photos they want. No more calling up the inspector. Hey, can you download photos off your phone for me?
Yeah. It's
just super easy.
Yeah.
One of the things that people just absolutely gravitate to is our payment module. This, I got to tell you, I was working for an agency, and it was taken on average 4 weeks to process a contractor payment from the time they submitted it to us to the time that we gave it over to the finance department for them to cut the check. 4 weeks.
Right.
In a contractor's life, cash flow is key.
Sure.
And so we kind of had a reputation for slow paying contractors. Mm-hmm. And guess what? That hurt. I didn't even know this, but after we implemented this, we went from 4 weeks down to 3 days to process that. So I was like, yay, we're saving staff time. We're getting our guys out there to be able to do more with less, right? And it's awesome. Well, what it also did is it made us get a new reputation for fast paying, and our unit prices on bids started to go down.
Right.
In 1 year's time, because we implemented this, we saved about $114,000.
So contractors began to think, hey, I don't have to carry this city for a month until I get paid, because I have to pay my guys rain or shine, but the city takes a month to pay me, so I got to have cash flow reserve. I got to charge them more money so I can pay my guys in time. That makes sense.
It makes sense. So they're like, we're willing to give you lower unit prices. And that saved taxpayer dollars right there.
So I mean, did the financial people within public agencies frown at this process? Did they feel like they're losing control over the purse strings?
So the beauty with our software is that nothing really changes with your processes if you don't want it to. Right. You can use our software, and it can integrate with your existing policies and procedures on how to process payments. And the reason is we don't try to connect or integrate with your financial system, because that's just a headache. I was talking to a city in Arizona about 2 months ago, and they're like, oh, we don't need your software. We already have something. I was like, oh yeah, what'd you guys end up getting? They told me what they got. And I was like, sweet, how's that going? And they're like, well, we started about 11 months ago. And I said, yeah, how's that going? And they said, we actually haven't even implemented it yet. We're still in the implementation process. I'm like, why? And they're like, well, we're having trouble connecting to our financial system. We're having trouble getting the systems to talk and figuring all this stuff out. And I'm like, well, just so you know, we implement in a day.
Yeah.
And I said, so how much have you guys spent over the last 11 months?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we've spent only about $300,000.
Wow.
And
Wow.
you haven't even used the software yet?
You know, that actually is a sad story with a lot of online platforms that are being sold to public agencies nowadays. They kind of rope you in with some dog and pony show, and then they sell you the training and the support. And meanwhile, it takes you months and months to actually get any benefit out of it. But they figure, well, you're a big agency, big city, big government, you can afford it, you can budget for it. And sometimes these things come to public agencies from the top down. Some political leader, some other folks kind of begin to fall in love with the hype, and they don't realize what something like this could be. This is kind of, to me, at the bottom up approach. It's the guy in the field, it's the person in the field that needs easily manageable software. This sounds simpler to learn than Excel. Excel is more difficult to learn than this, from what anyone that could see.
Yeah, I can show anybody. I mean, we even have, like, I can show anybody in about 15 minutes and they can be a basic user and be out there doing their job.
Yeah.
The only reason we take an hour and a half is because we answer everybody's questions and we just allocate that and we get through it. But I mean, on the basic side of it, it's let's get in, let's get out. How do you do your job in as few steps as possible?
So let me ask you this. So let's say a typical project, CIP project, the city or government has a lot of data about that project. Is there an easily importable process where you just import all that data into this platform, or you have to manually enter it?
So a lot of it is manual enter, but here's the thing, right? Not all the data comes in at once. So if you've got a new project, it's not like you've got sheets and pages of data that needs to come into this thing. It's a progression. It builds on itself. So to get a project going, you literally click on your admin preferences and you come in here and you click on add a project and you fill out this simple form. And I can fill out this form in about 5 minutes. So what's the project name? What's the project number that is issued by my agency? When do I start this project? What's the address? The address of the project is really important, at least the city and zip code, because it pulls in weather automatically. It automates, there's some AI into this software. It automates some of the processes that normally would have to be done manually. Inspectors have to record what the weather was like every day on the job site. Ours pulls it in directly from NOAA. You put your time zone, you put who the project administrator is, who the project inspector is, what the type of project. Remember, we talked about the different types. This list is completely customizable. How many contractual days and when the notice to proceed is. And if you got a bid or job number, you can put that in too. Literally, that takes less than 5 minutes. You click save, you've got a project up and running.
Wow.
The next step is you add your users to it, whoever you want to have access to it. And we have our system set up so you can create permissions groups. So I can have a contractor group. And so when I add a new contractor, I can put him into the contractor permissions group. So every time I add that contractor to a project, remember, he's not added automatically to all projects, just the projects you want him to have access to. Now that contractor only has the permissions from the contractor permission group.
Right.
So that person can't do everything. You don't want them approving documents or payments or stuff like that.
Right.
So our payments are super easy to process. It cuts the time down. It uploads. You can import your bid schedule directly into the system. Mm-hmm. And then when your contractor wants to make a payment request for a progress payment, they just come in here and click add payment, fill out the document right here. They just put how many quantities they want. And our system's really smart. You know, you've got 299 linear feet left in this item. And if they wanted to put 300 in here thinking they could get away with something, it says, oops, you've exceeded that amount. You can't get overpaid for something. So we've got, protections in place. We have a place down at the bottom for them to add attachments. So if they need backup documentation, updated schedules, anything that the agency requires, they can tell them, hey, every time you upload this, you need to attach X, Y, and Z.
Right.
and it just happens. And if they submit it without it, you can reject that payment and say, please resubmit this payment
Right.
with the proper documentation.
So,
So it fits with just about anybody's procedure. And then I'll mention one last thing at the end, because what you set up a routing system.
right.
And so you say who you want to review this payment. So as soon as they click submit, it goes from person A to B to C to D. Once person D, the last person in line, has reviewed it, it automatically takes that payment and puts it into a PDF and attaches it to an email and sends it to whoever's email you put into the system. So you set, like, maybe you have an admin person within the public works department that needs to enter it into your financial system. Or maybe it needs to go to somebody in your financial department to enter it in. Well, they don't have to log into our system. They don't have to have access to our system. They get that email and it's approved payment with a PDF attached. They just open up the attachment, go to work. So like I said before, their procedures don't have to change on the finance department side. It's just, it melds with whatever they're doing today, although it just shortens a lot of the process. A lot of people love this because they don't have to get up off their desk, hand walk over the approved payment. It's emailed automatically to whoever it needs to go to.
Right, right. So you mentioned email. Are there email alerts too, or you have to be in the platform to see what's going on?
No, so we have a couple different types of alerts. So if you look down here, every person who logs in can see in the lower left-hand corner, there is an alert. So if you have a new payment or a new RFI or something that's new on one of the projects that you're assigned to, it'll show up in your inbox and you can click. So these are all the latest things that are happening in your inbox. The other thing is it does send an email alert. So to all project users. So if somebody updates something, there's an email that goes out and it updates them on that.
Right, right. So if you're the CIP manager for a city or jurisdiction, is there a dashboard so you can survey all your domain and maybe a GIS map or something so you can see everything and see how you're doing?
Yeah, so for executives and managers and supervisors, we have an amazing dashboard. And this is one of the new features that we released at the beginning of this year that people are just going crazy over. You can see instantly how much money all your project managers are currently managing. So you've got 47 projects under 15 project managers, right? For a total of $78 million. Yeah. And that could be any number there. Your inspectors are currently, you got 8 inspectors currently managing 43 projects for $76 million. So you can see everybody that's assigned a project manager role or everybody that's assigned an inspector role. This is kind of a high level thing. But then on your program total, the CIP program as a whole, you know, what are your payment status? You set parameters. For example, Shahryar, you could say that I want all payments to be processed within 3 weeks, 21 days, right? Well, you come in here and if it's over the 21 days, you can see, hey, what's going on? So you have metrics to hold your employees accountable.
Right.
Hey, how are we doing? What's our percentage change? What's the total? How much is remaining? How much has been paid? You know, what's the retention being withheld? What's our average days to approve change orders? So you have all these pieces in the dashboard. You can see, again, metrics on how long it's taken you to respond to submittals or RFIs or punch list items. These are just good metrics to keep you on your toes. But the thing that I love the most, and as a director of public works, I would have my project managers come into my office once a month, talk about all the projects that they're working on. And they'd say, I would ask them, okay, how's the scope? How's the schedule? How's the budget? Yeah. You know, how are we doing? Sure. And so really quickly, I can see that, you know, Tao is managing 15 projects. Wow, that's amazing. And I can also see that he's 60% of the way through his contractual days and 66% paid. Those numbers should match about even. So this is really good metrics. And if I want to drill down even into those 15 projects, now I can just open that up and each project individually I can look at and I can say, okay, what's going on? Okay, this ramp project, he's doing a lot of ramp projects. Obviously, it's lather, rinse, repeat with a lot of these things. And so it's nice to have one person managing them all. But I can see also that the inspectors are missing some daily logs. Why are we missing daily logs? So I can kind of get on their back and say, hey, what's going on? I can see that this project just finished back in March. or whatever. And I can say, okay, how are we doing? And what can we do to be better? This project is getting underway. And so I don't have anything done right now. I know that. I know why it's zeros and why we haven't spent any money and why it hasn't, they've teed up this project to get going. And it just started, right? Like a week or two ago. So they've got a notice to proceed of May 17th and it has to be done August 10th. So I know a little bit about this, or I might ask the question, hey, we're 2 or 3 weeks into it. Why don't we have any progress so far?
Right.
Oh, the contractor hasn't mobilized yet. Perfect.
Wow.
This allows me as a manager to ask the proper questions.
Right.
So the dashboard is amazing. You can jump in there, you can see everything. And I love being able to, like, someone walks in my office like, oh, Tao's not here, but you know, I got Matthew walking into my office. I just type his name and it automatically filters everybody else out. And I got Matthew's information right here and I can drill into his projects. So you could set up those monthly meetings and have them walk into your office and really see what's going on.
Wow. Wow. So how about mapping or GIS? Any integration with
as of right now, we don't offer any mapping or GIS integration. That's something that is definitely on our production schedule.
Right.
We have a lot of new features coming out. In fact, one of the ones that we're releasing and that we're very, very excited about, and I'll show it to you a little bit here in this PowerPoint slide, is we have we have some design functionality like I talked about from planning and design within the existing system, but we're pulling out a lot of those design features and it'll be just kind of integrated. We're also doing a modernization to our look, kind of this black background with a fresh new look. And so through that whole process, we're creating almost 3 different sides of the system. And you'll have a design separate system, a construction separate system, and a dashboard, right? So I showed you a lot about the construction side of things, contractor payments, all these other neat functionality. Well, now in the design family, we'll have a review module. That's actually being released we're weeks away. I mean, it's so close. We're super excited. And here's a screenshot of that. You can upload documents. You'll be able to click on tools to review them. And I know a lot of agencies who are paying a lot of money for software like Bluebeam to do PDF reviews and markups.
Right.
And the frustrating part is you have to install it on everybody's computer. You have to buy a license for each user. And so every time you get a new person on board or you have a new stakeholder that needs to do a review, guess what? You have to add new licensing. Right. And I've seen with these types of software, they've got a lot of tools that public agencies just don't use.
Right.
A lot of public agencies came to us and said, we just want 5 tools. We want to be able to make a circle, make a square, make a comment, put some text on the screen or squiggle around it, right?
Right.
And so we're making those 5 tools right here. Here's those tools. We're making it simple. You click on the drawing. All of these will slide out of the way so you can have a full screen of real estate to be able to review your drawing. You can come in here, comment on the drawing, put all your markups on, and everybody's reviewing it. We have a review cycle, so everybody can review at the same time. So if there's 5 people that need to be in review cycle 1, and then it'll go to review cycle 2, they can review it, review cycle 3, and maybe the director of public works needs to be the last reviewer. They want to see it after everybody else has reviewed it. They can be in that last cycle. It takes all the comments, puts it into another screen on a table. So now you can see all your comments. You can sort by sheet number. You can sort by reviewer. You can sort by date. So many things that you can sort by and look at all these comments. And then whoever initiated the review, maybe it's a consultant or a civil designer or a project manager, they can go in and address each and every comment, how it was addressed. Not only are they making the changes on the plans, but they're addressing it in the table, which is recreated by many agencies and consultants anyway, but except they do it in Excel and nobody has, communal access to that.
Right.
So this just brings collaboration all on the web, all in the cloud. And so you can see all the comments that everybody else has made. You can see what's going on. You're like, hey, I agree with all that. I'm going to approve my submittal or my review, and we're off to the next one.
Wow.
So we also have some other things in the works, like an estimate builder and a project scheduler. Can you imagine on the construction side, you're uploading your bid schedule. into the system. So our system is housing unit prices for all the jobs that you are ever doing.
Right.
So now you're designing a new job and you've got all these new bid items, and you want to know how much should we estimate for budgetary purposes. You need a number to be able to solidify the budget for next year. You can use the estimate builder. It'll run trend lines on similar bid items.
Wow.
So if you're putting in sidewalk, it'll look for all the sidewalk items that you've done in the past, show you a graph of trend lines, and then you'll be able to make a good estimate of what the unit price is going to be, because you'll see your agency's unit prices right in our system. So we've got some fantastic functionality coming to you, and we are just so excited about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I think as I'm looking at this, so many different real life experiences come to mind, all the frustrations and being involved in the public process. But it sounds like you're listening to your customers. You're constantly adjusting and updating the software to meet their needs. And it sounds like just from the design review module, you're within an earshot of online permitting, right? Or maybe even customer relationship management, CRM software, based on the collaborative nature of documenting responses, that kind of stuff.
So we haven't gotten to the CRM discussion yet, but I can tell you in our product development meetings that I have, the permitting is right there. You're right. It's almost like a natural next step. And once we get this down, another natural next step is we can kind of reuse this markup tool for redlining plans on the construction side.
Yeah,
I mean, it's there. It's there.
So
that's probably closer than the permitting, but the permitting is super easy. We just have to figure out how do we give the public access to be able to upload plans into the system and then have it route or whatever. But I mean, these are all things that we're definitely in discussions about and excited about.
It sounds like it, and I think you're on the right track. I think I've learned a lot, even though I was familiar with this platform. I'm so glad that it's moving in the right direction. And to your earlier point, that you're creating value and efficiency for public agencies. Although construction managers can use this, I don't think you have to be a public agency per se, but your marketing plan or your platform is based primarily towards public agencies at this point in time, right?
Yeah, we really do cater to public agencies and those who work with them. So, and I'll give you a couple examples to really drive that point home. We have a lot of consultants, big consultant firms, who have reached out to us and say, hey, we do exclusive work for public agencies. We need something to manage all the jobs. We have a pricing and a partnership relationship and a pricing platform for consultants who do work for public agencies. It's very affordable. People can reach out to us and do it. Our website's www.virtual-pm.com. And it's super, super easy. The other example, I actually got a call yesterday from a contractor here in San Diego County who's doing work for Caltrans, and Caltrans says you need to have a software platform that does X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And then they looked us up, and our software does X, Y, and Z. And they're just blown away at how little they had to pay to use our software. So even big construction firms doing huge multi-million-dollar jobs are able to use our software to accomplish what they need to do. So we're definitely happy to talk to those types of people and work with them.
Yeah, and $15K, that's an easy line item in any construction budget. I mean, even if they don't have it, they can literally slip it in and say, look, here's how we keep track of the project, and we allow multiple users to keep track of what we're doing. So I'm pretty amazed. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing, my friend. This is wonderful. We're going to keep in touch as each new iteration comes up, as you begin to expand in different directions. And if this platform can help you get your message out, we are happy to partner with you. So Dirk Epperson, Chief Operating Officer of Virtual Project Manager, thank you for joining our podcast. I hope you'll come back soon.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.